Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome, everybody. I am here today with Michael Miller from M3 Decks. They are based in Woodinville, Washington. How's it going, Michael?
Doing well, Eric. How you been?
Doing great. Excited to have you on. I know you've been a very big, longtime fan of JobTread, and I know you've got a great story to share. So, I'm excited to have you on the show. Why don't you kick it off with us? Kind of give a little bit of background. Who you are, what you guys do, things like that.
We are 100% deck builders. We're starting to branch out into more of a outdoor living and full backyard transformations now, because our clients have gotten to the point that they want us to take care of everything. Been in business about 6.5, almost 7 years. Licensed for about half of that, sadly. I mean, we all started off as hacks, right? Found JobTread last Deck Expo of last year, 2022. And it was exactly everything I needed to find that made my business kind of help turn around, because I didn't really know what the hell I was doing at the time.
Yeah. So, how did you, just from the beginning, how did you even get into construction and building decks? Like what inspired that for you?
Well, you know what? What's really funny is that I should never have been in construction. I was not, I was not supposed to be in construction. I was not supposed to be in the trades. I was raised in hospitality management. I was raised in entertainment. I've worn a lot of hats in my lifetime, but I've always been looking for a vehicle of something that was my own. I was in the trades in my late 20s out of necessity as a younger man, and didn't know what side of the hammer to use when I first started. I was the epitome of greenhorn, but I got dangerous fast. Two guys out of the back of the truck, just the exact company you're not supposed to hire. Very chuck in a truck. And I learned a little bit of everything. We were just a remodel company, learned how to frame, got really decent at it. Built a lot of decks, and that became actually my first love, because it had a little bit of everything, right? It had the rough framing part, had some finish work. It had some creativity. And this is back in just wood, right? There was no such thing as composite back then. And that it was starting to rear its ugly head, but we didn't trust it yet. So I wasn't experienced in that. Fast forward 2 other careers of small retirement. About 20 years later, next thing I know, I was a real estate investor, and someone embezzled $1.5 million out of me.
Wow.
And I was in the middle of a whole house remodel. I wasn't swinging the hammer. I was hiring people. And that money ran out fast. And I went back to my first love. I had to get back to work. By that time, I was completely unhireable. No one wanted me. I couldn't work for somebody else anyway. So I went back to the trades, went back to my first love, started building decks. I started in February. God, I can't remember the year now, but it was snowing.
Yeah.
I was by myself, but I had to earn. So I got out there, started swinging a hammer, hand to mouth, and inside of a year, that first year, I had already started building a name for ourselves. And did a lot of cedar, did amazing decks in cedar. By the second year, we were in composite and working with TimberTech. And literally, lo and behold, inside the first year we had a name. Inside of 3 years, we had people actually calling us. We didn't have to solicit new business. People were actually getting a hold of us, knew who we were. A lot of word of mouth. And by the time I got licensed, bonded, insured, got good website up and everything else, we were up and running. But the challenge is, once again, got to remember, I was never supposed to be in this business. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
Right. We were building amazing decks. Everyone was getting paid. But at the end of the result, I really wasn't paying myself well enough, and I wasn't really retaining the money I had to retain.
Sure.
So it was a struggle. It was still very much a struggle up until about a year ago, quite honestly. I realized what I didn't know a year ago, and realized I was doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where JobTread came in.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting backstory there. I mean, you built out of necessity, and sometimes, I feel like having your back against the wall is sometimes a good place to be. I mean, I know, when I bootstrapped my first software company, like I had no money, had nothing. I felt like all I could do is fight and fight forward and just charge ahead. And, there wasn't very far to fall. So, we're already at the bottom. But that's a really interesting story, Michael. I mean, and probably having that hospitality, background, I think is really, got to believe has helped you with managing customers and making sure that, you're providing a good customer experience, even if it's, it was just you and you had to manage the customers and doing the build and everything. But, I'm curious kind of how you think that might have played into it.
Having that background seriously helped, because I had the customer service thing. I had the gift of gab. I had the bedside manner.
Yeah.
Having an entertainment background also helped, because customer service and customer experience, whether you're in the trades, in service, or putting together rock club shows, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's a talent that once you develop it, it can be used in multiple locations and environments. And I've been very fortunate to have that, to be able to fall back on it and use in multiple careers. But yeah, no, I mean, I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Right? I had some tools, I had some know-how. Um, and I didn't go to shop class when I was a kid. Hell, I didn't know nothing. Right? Um, I've been very fortunate to learn everything I've learned in my life via mentors. And
Yeah.
I've had some people just bring me up, say, "I'll show you, Mike. Let's go." And I've been such a shadow, they actually had to get rid of me. Right?
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
so I'm curious. So like, you said kind of in those early years, even when, you were selling jobs, you're getting them done, but you weren't paying yourself and you weren't really, kind of taking home any money. I mean, what would you really attribute that to? I mean, were you underpricing the jobs, or were you just didn't kind of manage the cash and sort of setting some aside for you and for your pay? Like, kind of how did that happen? What, how, I hear this all the time is why I'm asking, it's like, what would you tell others who are in that same situation, trying to like build a business, but yeah, man, when you're not taking home any money, it compounds the pressure and the struggles.
It's all the above. Right? When you're coming in, the construction is a project-based business. And if you've never been in even if you've been in business, and I've been in business, since I was a kid, right? I've always been somewhat self-employed. Or I worked somewhere where I had a personal interest and learned my way up. But these were all general service business, regular business, a basic normal business model. But in a project-based environment, a model that we're in construction, there's so many more variables. There's the accounting and the forecasting, and just the understanding of cash flow is a completely different monster. And I didn't know this. I really didn't. I had the typical story that I'm sure you'll hear echoed everywhere else. I had a ton of money rolling in. I looked at the bank account. Awesome. And I took a check for myself. And then 3 weeks later, bam, the bank's dry.
Yeah.
Because you needed materials, you need to pay somebody, this, that, and the other. You had to put gas in the truck.
Yeah.
You had to pay insurance. And then all of a sudden, once you're licensed and really on above board, you had to pay taxes. Good God Almighty, sales tax alone. So where all the money go?
Yeah.
It still kind of happens a bit, but so yeah, all of the above. And it really wasn't until number one, I got hooked up at 2022 with Legacy Decks and learned everything I didn't know, right? Or at least the basics that I didn't know. Went, oh my God. And then I had JobTread, right? So I could track everything,
Yeah.
right? I actually had something other than QuickBooks and Excel, which neither of which are any help, that I could actually organize and assemble and see where things were and better plan, right? So not only did I get the business structure, but then I got an intuitive software that really helped me, that not only was easy for a layman like myself in tech, but kind of helped me out. I mean, you and your crew kind of grabbed us by our wings and said, "Here, come here, come here, come here, pay attention." Right? As Gordon says in our industry, wood pulley in the tech industry, pay attention, Brian. I'm going to teach you something. Right? Right.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with cash flow. Like so many times it's easy, when you've collected some payments and you see your bank account, has got some cash in there and you're feeling good, but what you're not seeing is all of those liabilities, all of those, those payments that are going to need to turn and go right back out. And so, it's interesting that, cash flow is really typically one of the number one things that like will actually put a business, out, just because they didn't manage the cash. And, you said it exactly right. Like not kind of understanding what was going to need to be paid out can, if you've drawn down some and it's not there, now you're struggling to, get the materials and pay your guys. And, so I think that's a great lesson for everyone to really understand. And really that's a huge part of why I built JobTread was, making sure that you can track, all of your, your committed costs, like using purchase orders and work orders. That allows you to see what is going to be going out and not overspend and not over, exert yourself, because like, if you sit there and wait for those bills to come in, that, that could be, 30, 60, 90 days, who knows how long, it takes for your suppliers. Your subs are obviously not always on top of getting you their invoices, but then when it comes in, you got to make sure that you've, stashed that cash that you receive from the customer to make sure that you can pay off all of the, all of the debts there.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest downfalls I had, as still being a greenhorn and an owner, right, which is kind of shameful to be very honest. So I didn't know how to estimate. Not only did I not know how to do it properly, but I didn't know where and how to invest my time, how much time to invest in it. And I didn't have a cost basis. No. Therefore, I didn't have any. I didn't know what my overhead was. I didn't know how much to mark up. I didn't know any of that. Yeah. Right. It was all just numbers out of thin air. What worked, what stuck, keep moving with that. Right. And once again, I'll reiterate, I've never learned anything that I've been successful at without a mentor. Having the mentorship of Legacy Dex has really turned me as a layman into somebody who actually kind of understands what's going on and how to operate in the construction business. Am I going to be start building homes and subdivisions next year? Hell no. But there's niches and riches. There's riches in the niches. So, but I feel far more confident now that I have a project management software foundation, as well as someone showing me and helping correct me in my business, to where I'm operating now with a lot more confidence and a lot more success than I was just 3 years ago. But it took an entire restart because I was doing so much wrong.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I mean, and again, like case in point, like the importance of having, mentors and coaches and surrounding yourself by others who have already, gone through the trials and tribulations, and they know what works and what doesn't work. Like being able to learn from others, challenges. Like, I mean, you're literally just saving yourself so much time and hassle. And that's why, like, I'm a huge fan of Chris and Amy Breen and what they're doing with Legacy Deck Academies. I mean, again, I've got a very unique perspective here, getting to see, thousands of businesses and, how they're getting built. But man, we see the immediate impact on, these coaching programs. Like, the trajectory of your business goes from, we're kind of just stumbling along to, now we're shooting up. And like, it's getting that understanding of, how to properly estimate a job and how to manage, the cash flow and manage the, everything that goes into it, so that you don't find yourself, out of money, kind of out of work, struggling. I mean, it's it makes a huge impact. I know a lot of people, struggle with making the decision to, to join a coaching program or to hire, a coach or get a mentor, because they're like, oh, well, it's going to cost so much money and I don't have the money. Well, the funny thing is, by spending a little bit, it can help you make a whole lot more. And, it sounds like you're got a great example of that.
The one thing I will always say is that never, ever stop being a student, right? If you're going to commit to something, it's going to take a lot of hard work. You never know everything. And the moment you think you know it all is the moment you've just started falling backwards. I have been given a great opportunity to become a student again. I'm grateful for that. And I apply myself as a student on a regular basis. It's not just legacy decks, although they are the beginning and the catalyst of me becoming a student again. When the student is ready, the teacher will come. The proverb is absolutely true.
Oh.
And now I seek out every opportunity to get around people who are smarter than me, people who know far more than I do. Just if I can get one little wick of wisdom out of that, of being around them in that environment and that experience, I seek those opportunities out on a regular basis. And that's the reason why, quite honestly, I attribute our growth, our success, if you can call it success, because quite honestly, we are still in our infant stage. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I can always tell you, always be a student, always be learning, always ask questions, always look for a better way, always look for a new way, not the flash in the pan, too good to be trues, right? Check the fruit of the tree, always check the fruit of the tree, but always be a student, right? Commit yourself to being a student of what you're doing.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I mean, again, if you're comfortable sharing your revenue, I mean, 6-7 years in, what'd you do this year? What are you looking at next year? Because I think that, you shared it with me. I'm curious that,
Well, see, the first year, and I wasn't marking up anything, the way I should be. And once again, didn't know I was doing. I think the first year I did $80,000, and when you have nothing, $80,000 is amazing in gross receipts, right? And I probably held on to a fair amount of that, right? This year we're going to finish off, and actually this was a disastrous year because the permitting process in Washington has become just insanely difficult. We lost literally 5 months of productivity that I covered my guys out of pocket because it wasn't their fault they weren't working, and I couldn't afford to lose them when we did get back to work. But in the second half of this year, we literally did almost $800,000.
wow.
And that's, just a little over 800 in gross receipts. Next year, because we've had a gift of a commercial contract of condos, that's worth 7 figures instantly. We're honestly looking at a $3 million year next year.
That's awesome. That'll be a great growth story.
The challenge with next year, because it's being the foundation of a $3 million year, we're committing to 2.5, but we're really hoping for 3. Is that once that condo complex is completed, and I didn't get that job on my own. I had a lot of association who had experience in doing only condos that I could draw from. So it's, once again, not just mentors, it's the network you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
But 2025 is going to be difficult because unless I get another condo contract or commercial contract, which I'm not looking for, trying to do another $3 million is difficult.
I mean, but the fact that you're thinking about that now and that you're already planning and you're building a budget for yourself and you're looking at next year, you're looking at the year after. I mean, think about, a couple of years ago, you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? I mean, you're not thinking about what are we going to do this year? What are we going to do next year? Having that mindset, you build a plan and then you got to back into, how are we going to get there? What do we need to do each month? How many, deals do we need to close? And that means how many leads do I need to call on? I mean, I think, having that foresight there is, obviously shows tremendous growth. And, I have no doubt you got enough time now to think about how are we going to get there? And, maybe it means you need to invest in, some marketing, do
Oh
some
yeah.
ads, like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure, even without that big contract, but hey, look, I mean, maybe there's another big contract,
Not saying that it's not going to happen. Not something I want to actively pursue, but if it drops in my lap, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Uh, but not stupid, but honestly, yeah, you got to plan your work your plan,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you're just becoming very busy at being busy, and that doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
If you don't know where you want to go, there's no way of putting together a roadmap to get there, right? Um, you can't go anywhere in a parked car, I guess is uh just heard that on the social media this morning. It's like that's just brilliant. You can't go anywhere in a parked car,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So what's your team look like today? So is it just you? Do you have other employees? I assume, are you using subcontractors for your work, or are they employees? Like, what's your team look
I
like?
used subcontractors this year, and I'll be very honest, I'll never do it again.
Okay.
It bit me in the ass, cost me a lot of money, cost me a lot of reputation. I've been playing diplomat. I'm still doing it. After I'm done with this call, I've got to go shake some babies and kiss some hands. Um, I've got a 3-man crew, about to be a 4-man crew, which will split up into 2 crews. We are actively and very aggressively trying to hire. Um, I've got an accounting team behind me, bookkeeping team that are massive fans of JobTread. And we're looking forward to JobTread Connect because they all see something that they can glean from and help us grow as well as their other clients. I have a photographer, kind of on staff. And then I haven't had to swing a hammer for a couple of years now. So I've
Nice.
actually been actively building and running and directing the company.
Nice.
My wife's been helping where she can over the last couple of years. She's been an operations and development guru in the healthcare system for small owners for the last several years. Brought several companies from zero to hero until they either got bought out or realized that their finances really weren't what they say they were, and they couldn't pay her anymore. But we've been had the very good fortune that she's got fed up with the last acquisition, doesn't like the corporate world. Gave her a notice yesterday, and we're taking her on full time starting the first of the new year as the new operations and development vice president for M3 Dex. So
Congrats.
we're very, very excited because what she can help bring to us in policy and procedure, in marketing, in HR, is just exponential. I mean, it really is. It's going to take a whole lot of my hands. And she's not one to say that she knows everything either. She has learned very much as well as I have to be a student of this industry because it's still relatively foreign to her. And in creating new relationships within our industry. So we're, very excited about where that's going to take us.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Congrats.
Every man's ambition in life, if you're a dual income family, is to take your wife home, right? Put her home. That's, we build the house, your wife makes it a home. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a huge, probably sounds like kind of burden lifted off your shoulders to be able to divide and conquer now instead of having to wear all the hats, do everything.
Eric, I have to absorb another income. It's as much of a blessing as it is a curse.
That's true. That's true. But I think building out your team is what's going to help make sure that you can scale this business. And so, when you look at it kind of from a budgetary standpoint, it is going to take, some more people to help support a growing business. Again, I see a lot of times, entrepreneurs and business owners will, they'll take on a lot more work than they can actually handle.
Absolutely.
And that can in turn, end up costing them even more money and time. And so, I think it's important that as you keep, scaling the business, you do kind of put that support system there to help you manage all of it.
Honestly, I see a lot of business people, especially in this industry, because you start off on your own, one-man wrecking crew. You start growing, and then you build it, you do it all by yourself, right? And maybe you get to 3 crews and a couple of trucks, and a really good name and a decent logo to do some marketing with. But then you're kind of stuck there if you're not delegating other parts of the business out and giving up that responsibility. You're just going to add more and more and more on, and there's no way one person can do everything to the same level of quality and perfection that someone who specializes in it knows more than you do.
Yeah.
When you delegate that responsibility, that frees you up to do what you do and what you are doing better, because you can devote more attention and time to it. I have no intention of being a one-man wrecking crew. I learned as a very, very, very young age, being in a resort hotel family. During the peak season, we'd have upwards of 300 employees. A lot of infrastructure in hotels, restaurants, resorts, management wise. The best thing you can do is hire someone smarter than you and put them in charge and ask them questions.
Sure.
Right. The best management style I ever heard and ever learned was from my old man. And he would have management ask him things, right? Because he was the boss, right? And they feel like they would have to subdue themselves and go, "Hey, boss, what do you want? What do you want? How do you want to have this done?"
Sure.
And he would just stop and pause and go, "I don't know. What do you think?" Best management style you'll ever see. Just stop. What do you think? I'm paying you.
Yeah.
I'm paying you for your knowledge and expertise. Yeah, no. Do you think Bill Gates writes all the software and does all the marketing and everything else? No, he just collects checks.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Bezos, he was a hustler, but you know what? As soon as he got better people around him, built an empire. Sure. Right. Always be working on building and attracting the most elite people you possibly can to be on your team that are smarter than you. You're going to learn from them. Right. But you cannot be entirely in control, because you can't be the best at everything.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
And you'll just burn yourself out.
Yeah, sure will. So tell us, I mean, I'm interested. So you talked a little bit about some of the challenges with, subcontractors and wanting to move more to hiring them as full-time employees. I mean, what can you maybe share a little bit more about that? I mean, obviously it sounds like there's some quality control things, but I mean, I do see a lot of contractors who, very successful being able to leverage subs. It sort of helps with, if you don't have consistent work, which, sounds like you're gonna be very fortunate with that contract. That's gonna be helpful, to keep them busy all of next year. So bringing them on as full-time employees is, probably not gonna be a challenge for you. But, what do you see the biggest challenges of managing subcontractors were?
Commitment. Seriously, commitment to you, commitment to your client, commitment to quality.
Yeah.
In this industry, you have a lot of guns for hire out there. Preset crews that can frame, preset crews that can build decks, yada yada yada. But all they really want to do is move volume, right? Because that's how they get paid.
Yep.
Right. They'll overpromise, underperform. They want to get paid before they're even done. They don't have a level of commitment of quality. And I don't care what you put in your contracts. I don't care what you put in your requirements. I don't care if you put together full handoff books on how you do it, full descriptions, everything. They're not going to follow your process. And you're absolutely right, Eric. There are tons of other contractors who are general contractors. They don't swing a hammer. They are just ringleaders, and they bring in the right subs, and that's what they do. They're organizers. They're brilliant logistics. And maybe later on, when we become a larger company, and doing an average of 5 million plus a year, we might look at that model again. Right now, but we have a culture, we have a commitment, we have a philosophy that we instill in our employees, and it's all about quality. It's all about customer experience. It's about accountability. It's about the ability to accept your mistakes, recognize them, and fix them, right? Whereas a lot of your subs just want to get the basics done. They don't want to do it all. They want to get just enough to get paid so they can get on to the next job, right? They'll work 12 plus hours a day for 4 days so they can get it done in 4 days instead of 5, so they can start the next job on the 5th day. When the job have been done right and at your level of quality and what you've committed to your client, honestly should have taken 8, right? Yeah. And it wasn't just framers. It wasn't just deck builders. It was stainers, painters. I got took by 2 people who said they could refinish a deck. No. Job got done, but I had to send my guys out because my guys knew what my level of quality is. Honestly, when it comes to M3 decks, and I'm not going to say, that other contractors aren't the same way, but when you compare to someone who's committed to being the best of the best and committed to be elite, and that's where we are directing. That's where we want to be considered. Most people's good enough is our do it again, and I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I love that, man. So you got to maintain that high quality. And setting that bar really high is super important. I mean, I think to some extent, it kind of having a subcontractor model does lead to a lot more kind of people coming and going. It can be harder to kind of keep them dedicated to you. Scheduling can be more of a challenge. So there's definitely a lot of challenges with it. I mean, I think one thing though that it might afford you the opportunity to do is kind of, sort of try it before you buy it. Being able to kind of let them come in and kind of have a couple projects, see how it works, and then you make that decision to bring them on full time, because it's a lot harder to, onboard a full-time employee, get them all set up with their benefits and payroll and everything. And then, doesn't work out, you let them go. And now they're filing for unemployment. Like, obviously you're making a lot more of a commitment and an investment with employees, which, again, I think it could work, very well, especially if, you want to maintain that high level of quality, have that, quality control over it. But, I think there is definitely a, time and a place. And, for a lot of people, especially early on, when you don't really have any cash and you don't have guaranteed jobs coming in, like, having that ability to have someone who's willing to work, as a subcontractor, I think sort of can really sort of help mitigate, some of that cash flow needs.
Yeah, no, it can, and it does. And like I said, I'm not saying that we're not going to investigate that model again.
Yeah.
Right. I think I may not have just done my homework enough. But with such a labor shortage, right, there aren't a lot of subs out there.
Yeah.
Right. And the ones that are subs are the ones doing volume. Subs probably are in our industry and for my company, subs are probably not a bad thing for your basic decks. For your 16 by 20, 8 feet off the ground, away you go. But when you're building $270,000, 1,600 square foot decks with exposed gable cedar and the whole 9 yards, and most of your decks are in the $100 to $125,000, $150,000 range. That's not anything. That's not basic. It's hard to control the quality even with your own guys with something that large. And sadly, in this economy, we're not getting the basic decks because the people who can afford decks right now are the ones looking at the heavy six figure decks because the economy is not affecting them. Yeah. So all of our projects right now are very, very high end. So I'm looking forward to a better economy to where maybe I can do some smaller projects and bring on some subs to kind of test out, as you said.
Yeah. Well, I think, given your current situation, building a really strong core team, is definitely going to be a good move for you. And, again, that kind of strengthens your foundation overall. And then maybe, looking at being able to, subsidize some of the work when you really need it, hopefully kind of having that core team who's, very much in tune with the quality you're expecting, maybe they'll be able to help kind of elevate a another sub or trade partner's quality there. So definitely something that for every business, you really got to kind of figure out what works for you. And
For you.
it's going to take managing the people, regardless if they're full-time or not, making sure that you're doing a good job training them and kind of overseeing and helping them continue to grow and improve their skills. So one other thing I was curious, so when we first opened up, you talked about exclusive deck builder right now, but you're looking at moving into more of the outdoor living. What does that look like for you, and what spurred that? Is it kind of these larger high-end projects, or they kind of want the entire backyard set up? Is that?
There's definitely some of that. The clients that are calling me now have put aside time and design and been dreaming about a full backyard transformation, a full backyard remodel, which is a several year project on some of these. They're finally coming at us with that. Others, it was a design thing, to be very honest. Hardscaping can be far less expensive than a deck in some places, in some arenas. And I'll shoot myself in the foot for the greater good if the design is better, because we built a brilliant smaller deck that leads to the hardscape patio.
Yeah.
And really brought that backyard to life by not trying to sell a bigger deck.
Yeah.
But really making a change for the better for the client, and giving them an overall better aesthetic, better client, or better design, better environment. Oh yeah, let's do that.
Nice.
Right? Are we landscapers? Oh hell no. But this is kind of where partnerships are different than subcontractors, right? I'm developing partnerships with landscape and hardscape crews that we've worked with. Depends on who brings the job in, right? One works for the other one, the other works for that guy, right?
Yeah.
There's been stuff that's completely out of our wheelhouse. Now I'll bring a sub in, but that's the only time I want to bring a sub.
Yeah.
And because outdoor living is now number 3 in all remodel, kitchens, baths, decks, outdoor living. Because everyone's working at home, they need a larger living space, and that's outside, right?
Yeah.
There's more than just hardscaping and decks. There's outdoor kitchens, there's shade and other structures and pergolas. We've considered he sheds, sea sheds. But yeah, I mean, it's just simply the evolution of what we're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it was interesting. I was talking to Kyle Hunt the other day, he runs the Remodelers on the Rise program. But he and I mentioned the word sub, and he corrected me. He said, we like to call them trade partners. They're not just subcontractors for you. They're your partners, and when you treat them as such, you tend to get a better outcome from it. And so I think hearing this, this is again just the same exact situation. Like, okay, that you're not going to be able to do and trying to become a landscaper, but if you can find a landscaping partner who can come in and basically work for you on the job, I mean, that sounds like a great deal for you, and it makes it easier for the homeowner to make sure they're getting that, they've got that one contractor can help sort of implement the entire design, instead of trying to have to quarterback between, okay, here's my deck builder, here's my hardscape and landscape. I think it's a good move that you're able to kind of help bring that all together for them. And I love that you're putting the customer's needs and desires first, and that's that's awesome to see.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we're doing a couple of our first trade shows ever, home shows, and one of them I'm actually partnering with my landscape crew or a company. We're splitting up our 20 by 20 space,
Nice.
half and half, because both projects will complement each other so that we can sell more projects. I'm not looking for just anybody. I want the right client, right? I want the one who has a full vision of, full transformation. Oh no, we just want a little 10 by 10 cedar deck over here. Oh, okay. Well, Joe Schmo can do that one. Oh, no, 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 no. We want landscaping. We want granite. We want timber tech. We want structure and outdoor elements over here. And then I want, the kitchen over there. You're my client.
Nice.
Right. And then let's talk about how long it's going to take. Let's talk about budget and then see if we should continue talking it. Right. Yeah.
I love it, man. So, again, sounds like you really have kind of taken a big turn, back in 2022. Just I see the business continuing to grow up. It's been really awesome to to be able to kind of get to watch this and hopefully kind of be part of that journey with you. I mean, I think that
you are a huge part of that journey. I don't think, and not to be blowing smoke up your ass, quite honestly, if it wasn't for us having JobTread, we would not have been able to do this. Okay. It'd be pads of paper all over the place. It'd be spreadsheets and trying to make QuickBooks do something it really can't do. We would not have the understanding. We would not have the management that we have. We would not have the control of our business, let alone the ability to estimate and propose the way we do now without JobTread. It's a huge part of our business, a huge part of our lives. And no, we're bringing you up with us.
Awesome, man. Well, again, that's warms my heart to know that we're making a big impact. That's exactly what I try to do is I want to help, rising tide lifts all boats. Like, I want everybody to be able to win here. And I think that that's what, we can do by working so closely together with all of our customers. And, I love seeing your success. So you've done a great job. I know that, it hadn't been easy. You've struggled. You've gone through the pains of, not having any money, not having any work, not having any people, to being able to build that business. And, it sounds like you got a really good thing going. I'm excited to watch your continued growth, I think that as you keep building out the team and, you keep capturing those, those customers and building out even better, bigger projects for them, it's going to be exciting to see where you can take this thing, Michael.
We are absolutely blessed, and thank you so much for saying so.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story too. It's I know it's not easy to want to kind of share about all the downsides and the struggles that you had, but I appreciate that because again, it's a lot of times people think they see a successful business owner, just think, oh, it was so easy and they're just lucky, and they just whatever reason they come up with to just idolize that person. It's like, no, it's a grind and it's a struggle and it's hard work, but you can make it, you can get through it, finding the right people, like you said, getting the right tools and processes in place. I mean, these are the things that, that often so many entrepreneurs that are starting off, they need to kind of put all these pieces in place. And when you do that, then you're really setting yourself up for success, and just, it's all a function of how long until you get there and get those right pieces in place, but then you can really start to excel.
There is actually there's a place for a little bit of ego in this industry. I think it's absolutely necessary. It's a marketing piece, if anything else. But outside of that, there's no place for ego. There really isn't, especially, if you believe in mentorship, the responsibility of receiving mentorship is then to give it back and hand it down. And you have to be humble. You have to be a real person. You have to know where you were when you were an idiot, right? And all the mistakes, and help people not make the same mistakes you made, and help them get through it quicker. Help them become your competition and outdo you. That's kind of our responsibility.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing all this, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Eric, thank you so much. God bless. Great weekend.
You as well.
I'm not going to see you before. I'll see you at JobTread Connect in January. But before that, man, Merry Christmas, brother. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. You too. I look forward to seeing you in January.
All right.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, Every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.